Hi, everybody. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. My name is Cadet Gabray, and I am with the BLAC Appalachian Coalition. We work to dismantle the white narrative of Appalachia and bring forth a different approach, a wholesome approach to Appalachia where all communities are included in the conversation. And we try to talk about a lot of environmental injustice issues, and we're currently working to uplift the voice of the Clariton impacted community members. And we do have a petition going around today, so feel free to sign that. And I want to say thank you to all the impacted people here. It's hard to come out and still fight and still show up and continue to show up as our voices can be a little bit ignored sometimes. But also, thank you to all the press who are here today listening and uplifting our voices. But special thanks to all the impacted folks, all the communities who are dealing with a lot of pollution from coke, from coal and steel industries. And we want to say thank you to always showing up first. So my first, I'm just going to go into it. Our first speaker of the day will be Ms. Pamela Lee. Pamela Lee is a Clariton resident who has advocated for her community's air, water, and public schools. She has raised her voice to create change for her community through collective action in Harrisburg and in her own community streets. Ms. Pamela Lee.
Hi, my name is Pamela Lee, she, her, hers, from Clariton, PA. I want to say I remember as a kid drawing, and it was blue skies. It was a big sun in the corner, and it was green, green grass. And of course, we had our happy stick family. Now the corporations are polluting the earth. I wake up to smog, smoke streets. I can't see my neighbor's house up the street. The smell from the air makes my belly hurt. And I always felt like when I moved to Clariton, somebody should have been welcoming me to Clariton with an air filter. My son already has asthma from us living in the North Braddock area for 14 years. So as you can see, my adult picture sucks. We can fight over and over again who's wrong or who's right. Just when are we going to have common sense and put human life first? When are we going to put human life over profit? When are we going to stop polluting God's earth? I say people over profit. Clean air now.
Clean profit. Air now. People over profit. Clean air now. People over profit. Clean air now.
People over profit.
Clean air now. All right. Thank you so much for that moment, Ms. Pamela Lee, and thank you for your vulnerability today. And our next speaker is Jamie Wallace, President of Unity Council for East Palestine Train Derailment. Jamie is a lifelong East Palestine resident. She had over 40 relatives within the evacuation zone and couldn't return to her home after CTEC discovered a pathway to exposure in her basement. She's continued to fight for justice for her community and for her young daughter, Kayla.
All right, unfortunately, I'm not Jamie Wallace. She's being interviewed. But my name's Hillary Flint, and I am Vice President of Unity Council for the East Palestine Train Derailment. I wanted to share with you today a testimony that I submitted to the U.S. Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works shortly after the train derailment affected my own family and my own home. My name is Hillary Flint, and I'm a resident of Eden Valley, Pennsylvania, a tiny town with less than 300 people that borders East Palestine, Ohio. My great-grandparents purchased this land, and I'm the fourth generation to live in my home. My grandparents, Luis Severa and Robert Severa, worked hard to achieve the American dream. They started a family, owned land, opened many successful small businesses, and became pillars of our community. My father, Jarrett Severa, continued that legacy by growing these companies and purchasing more land to develop in Western Pennsylvania. Yet I fear there will be no legacy left for myself and my younger siblings. Since the controlled explosion, we have been told that it's safe to be in our homes, to drink our water, to plant in our soil. Yet my lived experience tells a different story. You see, I have a history of autoimmune disease, chronic illness, and kidney cancer. This means that when there's an environmental crisis, people like me are affected first. Stories like mine have been ignored, unheard, and undermined throughout this entire crisis. You tell me my water is safe, yet when I wash my hands, I get red rashes. When I shower, my toes turn purple. When I wash my face, my eyes are itchy. You tell me that my air is safe, yet I have migraines. I'm congested, I'm tired, I'm dizzy, and I'm weak. You tell me that the tests show I'm safe, yet the smell in my home is so pungent that it travels with me wherever I go, clinging to my skin, my hair, and my clothes. You tell me that my home is over 1 mile away, and that means I don't qualify for resources. You tell me that if I want independent testing done on my own property, I have to pay for that. You tell me that if I want to get rid of the smell, I have to clean and wash every item in my home and let it sit out in the hot sun to off gas. You tell me that if I have medical concerns, I have to go to a clinic that's unable to do tests, give a prescription, or even give a diagnosis. You tell me that Norfolk Southern is continuing to put public safety before anything else, and I am responsible for that. Let me tell you something. We the people have had enough. Appalachian communities are tired of being physically, mentally, and financially burdened by a benefit of everyone but the residents. These blue-collar areas will no longer be ignored. We the people expect real change. Suspend all Norfolk Southern operations. Demand their leadership team be fired and held criminally liable. Make them compensate each and every home within a 30-mile radius. We the people are watching. My grandmother, my father, my siblings, myself. The people that have lived in these communities for generations, the people that have fought hard to achieve the American dream, the people that have defended this country with their vote, their word, and sometimes their lives. We're all waiting to see how America holds corporate companies accountable. I submitted that letter that I just read to you in March. Since then, I'd have to obtain my own independent testing, which proved my home had vinyl chloride, ethyl hexoacrylate, and a variety of dioxins. I had to pay out of pocket for my own relocation, which meant I had to work a second job. I had to ask for help from families, friends, and strangers to replace my belongings that still smelled like sweet bleach. I had to fight my property tax reassessment, which led my county to say my home is a catastrophic loss. I had to move up my yearly cancer scans, which show that I now have, unfortunately yesterday I now have spots in my left lung and masses in my left ovary. Since February, I've had to live in fear, in uncertainty, and in danger. I've had to give up all that I enjoy to fight for justice, for myself, for my family, and for my community. I wouldn't wish this disaster on anyone else, and I don't want your community to be next. So I call on every community here to stand with us, and East Palestine and Beaver County, Pennsylvania will stand with you to fight against corporate greed. Thank you.
Yeah.
People over profit. People over profit. People over profit. Clean air now.
Clean air now.
All right. Thank you so much, Hillary, for being vulnerable. I mean, everyone today will be vulnerable with you all, and please understand their pain and understand that pollution, and when we're talking about environment, this is not something up in the air. These are real lives. These are real people. That there are real impacts, right? Okay. Our next speaker is a former mayor, Nicole Nesby. She's the new environmental justice organizer for 412 Justice and a former local mayor. Previous to her current role, she has always been frontline advocate for the policies that protect the health of our EJ communities.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Nesby, and I want to thank you all for coming out today. In the Mon Valley, our poor water and air quality is killing us. As mayor, I witness corruption, bureaucracy, and red tape. Our air quality in some areas, in the orange level, our parents have to choose whether to send their children out to play or to die. Our parents have to decide if they're going to send their children to school in these conditions or rather they're going to allow their children to fall behind. Or do we continue to beg our elected officials and agencies to do their job? In 2019, I spoke before the United States Chamber of Commerce on infrastructure in our region. As we know from Flint, Michigan, lead levels in our children at 3% cause permanent neurological damage. Yet in the city of Duquesne, our children's lead levels are averaging at 7%. The county is just deciding to get involved. As a result of these high lead levels in our children, it causes permanent neurological damage. And as adults and adolescents, it causes them to be violent. We've known this and the studies are here. According to Allegheny County Health and Human Services, 33% of our school-age children have been medically diagnosed with a learning disability. Regardless of your sex, race, or color, it is our government's responsibility to ensure that we have drinkable water and breathable air.
Right.
Today, I call upon our elected officials to put people before your campaigns contributions. Put people before corporate greed. Put people first. We want to live, and our children deserve an opportunity. Thank you.
We deserve to live.
We deserve to live.
We put people first.
We deserve to live. People first. We deserve to live.
Put people first.
We deserve to live. All right. Thank you so much, former Mayor Nesby. That was beautifully said. Our next speaker is Kiyam Ansari. Correct me. Oh.
He could make it.
Okay. All right. Our next speaker is Leslie Clogg. Speaking today on behalf of the Rail Pollution Protection Pittsburgh, RP3, Leslie is an artist and a community advocate who lives in Polish Hill. With Polish Hill's Environmental Justice Committee, Leslie is working to raise awareness about the impacts of rail traffic and Norfolk Southern Railroad's plan for Pittsburgh.
Thank you. What do I do? Okay. Hi. Compared to all these people who've spoken so far, who have these stories,
Put it closer.
our neighborhood is not yet hit, but I'm here to talk about something that's happening to Pittsburgh that's coming soon, courtesy of Norfolk Southern. In 2026, Norfolk Southern is going to more than double the train traffic on this line. It's about 2 blocks away from here, the Pittsburgh line. This goes straight through the city. There've never been double-stacked trains on this line. And now we're going to get more than twice as many trains. The trains are longer. They're double-stacked. These are going through neighborhoods that don't know this is coming. And we know what Norfolk Southern, we know what to expect from them. We've seen their safety record. We've seen their derailment history. You know, we know to be worried about this. The impacts of rail traffic are not just noise and vibration. If that was it, we all like trains, but they are also diesel pollution, which causes a host of health issues. And the diesel pollution from trains stays within a half mile of the tracks. So the people in Pittsburgh who live within a half mile of these tracks are getting all of the impact, all the pollution impact of rail traffic. Unlike on the highway where it drifts and everybody just gets a little bit. And we have the derailment impact. And this is 40% of Pittsburgh residents who face this increase. It's with the Pittsburgh line. You know, this goes by Shady Set Hospital, it goes by Google, it goes by Target. You know, this is right in our neighborhoods and with us. So this isn't here yet. We're already dealing with the impacts. We already have this pollution. It's going to get more than twice as bad. And most of these people who are going to be impacted by this are in environmental justice areas. Homewood, Larimer, all these places out to Braddock. My neighborhood is just coming out of low income and all that, but we still face the same issues as our neighbors further down the track who don't have these resources yet. And we all need to work together. And what I'm here to do today is say we need to support the Railway Safety Act of 2023. It doesn't have the votes. It's not strong enough. But we need this badly before this traffic comes to Pittsburgh. It goes by my house. It goes by a lot of folks' house. And we need these new safety issues now before this starts a couple years from now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I get this too.
All right. Thank you for standing in solidarity with environmental justice communities, Leslie. Our next speaker is Tamara Fries. Tamara is a board member of Unity Council for the East Palestine train derailment, and she lives right by Ground Zero. She can see the 2 million gallon wastewater storage tanks from her front porch, and the dust and the noise from the cleanup activities has forced her to consider permanent relocation. She also just found out the stores she manages will be closing, and there are rumors that Norfolk Southern bought out the building.
Thank you.
Hello. 9 months ago, not many had heard of our little town, much less were able to pronounce it correctly. Now it seems as if the entire world knows of East Palestine, Ohio. We were a small village and a tight-knit community with small businesses, school spirit, and local activities that united the village. Now, however, the way we were is just a distant memory. Living so close to the derailment, I have witnessed on a daily basis what it takes for cleanup of a disaster this tremendous. The bright lights, the flashing signs, the road closures, truck after truck hauling contamination past my house every few minutes. The giant holding tanks for the contaminated water sitting right outside my front window. Laying pipes in people's yards, removing trees and brush, taking entire properties from businesses for their security vehicles and their trucks. Security so far everywhere that you cannot even get remotely close. And while some believe that we can regrow and be even better than we were before, I am here to tell you that that isn't possible. East Palestine, Ohio is now forever tainted with the dirty money of Norfolk Southern. The amount of money they have thrown at our local government is sickening at minimum, but it goes beyond just donating to the schools and buying new equipment for the fire department. They tossed money at our police station, $25 million to renovate our park, which, by the way, really isn't that bad, and even sponsored local activities that our town already had in place. Norfolk Southern has stamped their name and logo everywhere in East Palestine, Ohio. Now this multi-billion-dollar company is buying nearly every piece of real estate that comes up for sale. Why? For what reason? Because they can? Is that part of Alan Shaw's making it right? Each property they purchase takes away from us a part of the legacy and sentiment of our hometown. They are erasing Ohio, East Palestine, Ohio, bit by bit, property by property, right in front of us. When this happens in your town, because it will happen again, do not let this arrogant, unsympathetic, money-throwing monster known as Norfolk Southern buy your town. We cannot let money destroy memories and history. Thank you.
We're not for sale. We're not for sale. We're not for sale. We're not for sale.
Oh, here it is. All right. Thank you, Tamara. Our next speaker is Curtis Devon. Curtis is the Southwestern PA Organizer Director, spearheading clean water actions work to address air pollution in the Mon Valley area and to ensure utilities in Western Pennsylvania provide safe, affordable, lead-free drinking water.
Thank you. Before I get started, I would like to send regards from my colleague, Kiyam Ansari. He's actually not able to be here today because he's getting air filters, which speaks to the importance of why we're here today. So I'd like to thank everybody. With that being said, again, my name is Curtis Devon. I'm the Southwest PA Organizing Director of Clean Water Action. And I'm from an environmental justice community, and I work to serve environmental justice communities now. But before I address the steel, coke, and coal industry, I think it's important to acknowledge the existing harms that exist in environmental justice communities. Like, for example, 85% of the homes in Allegheny County were built before 1978, which means there's lead in the house. Or the fact that lead service line replacements are needed, especially in a community like the Mon Valley. And we already know now that if you don't have lead service line replacements, it's detrimental to your health. These two facts mean that there's a lead problem already in the Mon Valley, as the mayor already elaborated too. Here's what we know. No level of lead is safe. It causes ADHD, lowering IQ, and it causes learning and behavior problems, all ailments that the Mon Valley and other areas suffer from. It's also been reported, unfortunately, that children from small towns around Pittsburgh have higher rates of asthma cases than anywhere else in the entire United States. Think about that. Yeah, shame. That's horrible. Now, let's move to the steel and coke and coal industry, and let's focus on them, because organizations like U.S. Steel bring additional harms to environmental justice communities. Over the years, U.S. Steel, in particular the Edgar Thompson Works, has committed many violations in environmental justice communities. They have failed to maintain their pollution and failed to report the problems that they witnessed. So much so that it resulted in a $1.5 million fine. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, Curtis, what did they do with some of that fine money? They spent it on a trail, something that people in the community don't use. Instead of engaging with the community and talking with them and working with them to see what they want, they did none of the like. It's also long believed that Edgar Thompson omits lead too. And if you're keeping count, that's a double whammy. So we already have lead as an existing harm, and now we have lead coming from the factory. 2 converted diesel switcher locomotives from diesel to battery is not enough. You might have seen it on the news lately and being touted as the next best thing. Yes, that's a step in the right direction, but what about the people that have suffered for harms for many of years? What about them? Don't be fooled or greenwashed. The steel, coke, and coal industries need to step up and listen to its most impacted people. Let's make sure we stand together and hold the industry accountable by demanding tougher restrictions and supporting House bills like House Bill 652, which would stop new or expanding facilities by requiring an impact assessment and giving the DEP power to deny the permit based on that assessment. 2 things that are not currently in place. Thank you.
All right. Our next speaker is Elias Khan. Elias is an active organizer for the youth group Sunrise Pittsburgh, fighting for climate justice in Southwest PA and beyond.
And I just got here. Fabulous timing, folks. So first of all, I just want to say it's so lovely to see folks out here. I know the weather's getting a little chillier, and that's putting a little bit of a dampener on us, but I can see that it has not dampened our spirits here.
No, not at all.
That is wonderful. That's fantastic. And I'm sure that no matter how cold it gets, our determination for justice, our determination to put an end to Norfolk Southern's egregious practices will never be dampened.
Right.
Now, I'm here today to represent, in some small part, the future of this county and the future of this state. I'm 19 years old. I grew up in Western New York. Many people may know Western New York as the home of Lovejoy Canal. The people who suffered from the corporate failures and the political failures of the people in power at Lovejoy Canal have been injured systemically and physically through impacts on their health for the past 50 years. And now that's happened to our communities here as well, both in Ohio and in Pennsylvania, through the ridiculous incompetence of Norfolk Southern and the subsequent denial by politicians of justice for the people who are most affected. This is unacceptable. And I, for one, am not willing to live in a future where my rights are put beneath those of a corporation that can't even do its job properly. Now, I think I speak for many young people today when I say I am concerned, very deeply concerned about the state of our country and the state of our world. And I think I also speak for young people today when I say that I would like clean water. I would like breathable air.
Yes.
I would like to be able to say with confidence that my community is safe from environmental harms perpetrated by corporations that don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
But I cannot right now. I cannot today because people in power, because corporations have denied me the ability to say that. They have told my community, they have told the communities in Ohio, they have told the communities in Pennsylvania, they have told the youth, the people of the future, that they do not care and they will not care, that they will not lift a finger. But we are here to lift their finger. We are here to push it up. We are here to push it off our backs. We are here to tell them that we will never stand for this incompetence, for this injustice on our communities, not while any single one of us breathes, because we are breathing this air, we are drinking this water, we are living on this soil, and we will never be disconnected from it. This is our land, our water, our soil. It matters to us, it matters to our future, and they will not take that away from us. We will stand for this right. We will stand for our rights to clean water, air, and soil forever, because this is our future. And we decide it. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Our next speaker is Angelo Taranto. Angelo is a co-founder of the community group Allegheny County Clean Air Now, ACCAN. ACCAN was founded in June 2014 to give a voice to the residents living downwind from the Shenandoah Coke plant on Neville Island, a major source of carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, sulfur oxides, particle matter, and volatile organic compounds. ACAN was instrumental in shutting down of this highly polluting plant, which studies now show has resulted in substantial health benefits and reduction of respiratory illnesses in local community residents. Angelo.
Hi, so I'm Angelo Toronto, and I'm with the group called ACAN. We were a group of Northborough residents that lived across from the Shenandoah Coke plant on Neville Island. And we organized to try to get the Allegheny County Health Department to better regulate the plant. Because we knew that we and our neighbors were getting harmed by that. And county officials, health department officials heard the stories of many residents who were being harmed by this. But we never did get that better regulation. In 2016, the company voluntarily shut down. And we knew that that would improve our air quality dramatically. However, what we heard from some county officials were that they didn't believe that the shutdown would be a boon to county health, and they didn't believe that the shutdown would significantly affect air quality. When we heard that, we knew that it was very important to have retrospective health studies done to prove them wrong. And since then, several studies have been done. One that showed that physician-diagnosed asthma among elementary school children dropped 25% after the closure. It also showed that the benzene level locally dropped by 37%. Just recently, there was a study released by researchers at the NYU School of Medicine, and that study particularly pointed out that emissions from coke ovens are dramatically more harmful than other types of air pollution. Their study showed a 42% drop in cardiovascular ER visits, showed a drop in hospitalizations, heart-related hospitalizations. There were 33 fewer heart-related hospitalizations per year, and they showed a 90% drop in the level of sodium dioxide. Communities downwind from coke plants shouldn't have to wait until the plants voluntarily shut down to get the types of health benefits that we got. Thank you.
Asthma isn't normal. Asthma isn't normal.
Asthma isn't
normal.
What?
Asthma isn't normal.
All right, y'all. When I say what do we want, I want y'all to say clean air. And when I say when do we want it, I want y'all to say now. What do we want?
Clean air.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Clean air.
When do we want it?
Now.
All right. Water too. All right. Our next speaker is Darren Gamble. Darren is a board member of Unity Council for the East Palestine train derailment, retired union bricklayer and a lifelong East Palestine resident. His family has spent the past 8 months in an Airbnb because his wife gets sick when she's in their home. He's recently made the tough choice to list his home that's been in his family for over 75 years and is now on the market.
Hi, thank you. I come here full of disgust to talk to you people. First, I'm disgusted with Norfolk Southern, the responsible party for all this. And their brazen ability to throw money around and buy our town and buy our elected officials. I'm disgusted with our community that are each other's throats over this whole thing when there is a responsible party. I'm disgusted with the EPA, who has literally done nothing to help anybody affected by this tragedy. And like she said, and the families, just not mine, but at last count, there are still 200 families that are temporarily relocated because of this disaster. Now, the EPA has said from the beginning that the air is safe, the water is safe, everything's safe. And Norfolk Southern, their stand is, well, the EPA is calling the shots on the temporary relocation. So if everything is fine and there's no problem, why are 200 families still temporarily relocated out of this mess in East Palestine? Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Darren. Our next speaker is Jason Hallmark. Jason is a petrochemical and pollution organizer for the Ohio River Valley, based out of Pittsburgh, and has a family living in the Mon Valley. He's living with multiple sclerosis and brings disability-centered organizing to the work that he does. Jason.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Take your time.
There you go. Hi, I hope you can hear me. Sorry about the mask. My name is Jason Hallmark. I use he, him pronouns. I work for the Climate Reality Project as an organizer. But I do have family living in the Mon Valley. When I was in high school, my parents moved to West Elizabeth from the city. And my parents thought that they wanted to get out of the city basically for a better life for me and my brother, not realizing what they're actually moving into. Right now, they're basically sandwiched in between Eastman Chemical Plant as well as the Clairton Coke Works. And recently, my mom told me that a lot of her friends in the area are all dying from cancer, which is really hard to hear, especially when my mom doesn't really understand what's happening and the pollution that is in the area itself. So it's, those things are very difficult, but something that I personally focus on is the intersection of living with a disability and the climate crisis, as well as pollution and disasters. For example, some stats that I have here, when it comes to living with disability, recent census data came out that showed the vast majority of people living with disabilities never make it home after they are evacuated. The reason mostly is because after they're evacuated, they're institutionalized, and there's never a way or a plan to be able to get them home. And just some of the other disparities that are really frightening. And these are a lot of things that people normally don't think about when it comes to climate change and disasters. But just some of the other statistics that are really scary. For example, 70% of deaf people who were evacuated reported living in unsanitary conditions a month after a disaster, compared to only 7% of evacuees with good hearing. And that goes across the board when it comes to disability. Another example is 74% of evacuees who were unable to walk reported experiencing a lack of food 1 month after a disaster, compared to just 9% of people who can walk faced a food shortage. And these disparities, unfortunately, even within the climate movement, aren't highlighted, and people with disabilities are often ignored in this movement. And something that I really want to spread is the fact that disability rights are an environmental justice issue and really need to be treated as such. A lot of the work that I'm currently doing focuses on this. I'm working with a lot of great people from East Palestine, for example, in highlighting the lived experiences of people with disabilities who still are facing issues today that we've already heard from. And really want to spread awareness about this for the simple fact that even within the movement itself, people with disabilities are often ignored. And to me, this is a complete injustice, especially when you think about people with disabilities who have spent the majority of their life adapting to a world that wasn't built for them. Why in the world would you not want them to help you adapt to a world that is changing in front of our eyes? There's no scenario where if you have people with disabilities helping you plan for the next disaster, that doesn't automatically catch everybody else in that. And people like this, we won't see those numbers again. And that's my hope for the future. The world is changing, and we really need to prepare for it. And I believe that disability center organizing is key to that. So thank you.
Disability justice now! Disability justice now!
All right. So Jamie is done talking to reporters. So we'll now have Jamie Wallace, the president of Unity Council for the East Palestine Train Derailment next.
Thank you guys for all coming out today to support us. The first thing I'm going to start with is what I start most of my interviews with now is, had I heard myself speaking pre-February 3rd, I would think I was a conspiracy theorist. The things that I'm talking about now, EPA cover-ups, government being owned by the railroad, I would have looked at that person and been like, wow, they're kind of out there, or this can't be real, but this is real. And it's happening in my community now. We had 5 tankers of vinyl chloride blow up over our community. 9 months later, the EPA refuses to test our indoor air. They are saying that the outdoor air is fine, yet their very own website states that indoor air can be 2 to 5 times more contaminated than outdoor air. It's really just common sense. The air outside is diluted, it's moving around. If there's vapor intrusion in your home, it's staying in your home. Their second excuse is everyone has VOCs in their house. Your paint, your nail polish. So we couldn't tell which VOCs were from the derailment and which ones were not. I said, how about we don't care where they're from? If they're in our homes and they're making us sick, we need help. I don't care if it's legacy chemicals combined with derailment chemicals. The fact of the matter is, we were not sick in our homes before the derailment. People are still sick in their homes now. When people talk about, who are you the most mad at? It's not Norfolk Southern, it's our government. That's who I'm mad at. We all know that Norfolk Southern is a company. We all know companies are about profit. They're not about protecting human health.
The EPA owed me a duty as a citizen of the United States, as a taxpayer, to protect me, to protect my daughter. Once they broke that level of trust to the point of my daughter's life, you're going to have to do a whole lot to prove to me that I can trust you, and it's not to keep lying. Lie after lie we have exposed. Lie after lie has been ignored. Every time we think there's no way they can deny this, we got them. Nobody cares. These are kids with bloody noses. These are kids covered in rashes. I'm a taxpayer. Yes, Norfolk Southern is the accountable party, but I'm a taxpayer. I say use my taxpayer money to get us out, and then use through Norfolk Southern. The residents should not be left with that burden to wait years and keep our kids in these contaminated homes until these lawsuits come through. This is not a red issue. It is not a blue issue. This is an issue of human lives. If you don't think this could happen in your backyard next, you're wrong. We didn't think it would happen in our community, and we're going to keep fighting for our community, and so this never happens in your community.
Thank you.
So thank you guys for coming here today. We need indoor air testing. We need our residential soil tested. We need President Biden to flick his little pen and relieve us all from our suffering.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, what do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? All right, our next speaker is Natisha Washington. Natisha is the newly elected Wilkinsburg Councilwoman who's an environmental justice organizer from the Mon Valley. She's currently advocates for her community through education and media as the communications manager at the Breathe Project.
Hello. Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Natisha Washington. I heard a lot of great things, and I thank everybody for their stories and the information you shared, because oftentimes, as a person who has to speak up for environmental justice communities, I know a lot of these things, but other people question them quite often. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up today that I don't think is talked about enough is the greenwashing, as Ms. Pam is holding this sign. There's a lot of information that is given to us that is false and has people thinking that we're trying to take away their jobs, we're trying to take away their safety, we're trying to take away the money from the communities that we also live in. And we all know that's not true, but a lot of the people are paying for ads, they're paying for media, they're paying for politicians to speak about this in a way that counteracts what we say to people and dismisses the actual harms that are going on with our community. So I wanted to talk about three of the top ones that really frustrate me currently. And the one that I hear most of the time and is kind of new to me is that it's not chemicals that are coming out of our factories, it's steam. Last time I checked, and I'm not a big science person, but steam only comes from when you're burning off water. So I don't understand how steam is the result of burning off chemicals, where we can see flames that are only like steps away from many farms that we also have been trying to have around our communities. And that results in us not even being able to have clean food because our soil is polluted, not just from the air, but from the water. I also hear that water and air are very separate, that once it's spread out, once it's gone, it's just away. And again, I'm not a science person, but I'm going to try to explain it. So when air, the water cycle that we have, that many people have learned in their high school science class, comes from our air vapor that then gets into our ground in our water. And there's actually water under our ground. So whatever in our soil is also in our water. So when our factories are polluting not just our air, but also our water, it's also getting to our soil, which is also getting into our food. So nothing that we consume, nothing that comes into our body is going to help us, and it's going to be harmful with all the chemicals that we are also breathing in the air. And the third and last thing that really grinds my gears all the time. And Miss Pam, you might remember this too. The Clairton mayor said that his health issues that he resulted in, which I believe he had cancer twice, was not because of him working in the urban plant. It wasn't because of him living in the Mon Valley. It was just a natural cause. And I want to also explain that in my community, we also thought asthma was a natural cause until we found out about the pollution. And then everybody realized that it was just because of where we lived at. So we have people that are in the community that are making these rules, that are telling people what to do, and they're disclaiming us the same way with scientific facts that we've proven to them, with many journalists, many speakers, many residents coming to meetings publicly and saying to their face that I'm being harmed, I'm getting sick, my children are dying, and they brush it off because it's, one, not making them money, but at the same time they're spending a lot of the money as their lack of better terms, as a government slush fund to fill in their budget needs, when we have filters from nonprofits who had to scrape up their dollars to protect our community. And my question is, why protect these lies when you were supposed to stand for truth? Why protect these corporations when you promised to stand for your people? When did it become that we were so worried about what was built around here than the community that we're building around here? I hate that we're called the most livable city, because every statistic that I read is opposite of that, especially for Black women that live in this community.
Yes.
And I hate that my own experience is being dismissed by this, as a person who has asthma, as a person who lives in the Mon Valley community, as a person who constantly has to hear about the lives that are being threatened and being killed because of the environmental harms that people don't seem to care enough about. And to see children go out on a wildfire day, where we had the first Purple Air Day in a long time, seeing children go out to play and practice for football and cheerleading. I have to experience that, take that home with me, endure that trauma, and figure out how to do it with the dollars that we have as nonprofits, which ain't much, while these corporations throw ads in my face saying that this does not exist. I'm over it and I'm sick of it, and that's why I became a politician. So I hope you all continue to stand with us. I love that we have people from all over the region to stand with us, to say that this isn't just a us issue here in Pittsburgh. This is an all of us issue all around the world, all around PA, and our politicians, our decision makers, the people that have the money that's supposed to be owed to us, the people that have the power over the land that's supposed to be owed to us, finally does their job. So thank you, everybody, and I hope we continue to have a clean air day today. For this. Yes.
Oh. Thank you so much, Natisha. Our next speaker is Archbishop Marcia Dinkins. Archbishop Marcia is the founder and executive director of the BLAC Appalachian Coalition. She has organized communities to address environmental justice, climate justice, racial and economic justice. Being a directly impacted person, she's determined to amplify the voices of people, more specifically Black people, to dismantle the whitewash narrative and imagery attached to rural and Appalachian communities, and perpetuate historical divestment economically, racially, and environmentally.
Greetings, everyone. I am not going to restate what everyone has already stated, because we know what's going on. We do a great job of talking about the problems, and we do a great job of, amplifying what's going on with us, as we should. But what I like to do, and I don't know if I'm the closer, but I do want to serve notice, because we're here for a reason. We're here for the MetCoke World Conference. And so today what I'd like to do is just really send a message up, to all of those people who are in there saying that they are innovators. And one of the quotes that I like is by Martin Luther King, when he says, "We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. There is no time for apathy or complacency. This is a time for vigorous and positive action. What's my message to the people today who are up there thinking about innovative strategies and whatnot? I want to serve notice on you today to let you know that now is the time that we are going to resist everything that you try to put out there. Now is the time that we are going to come together. We are going to build together. We are going to step together. We are going to amplify our voices together because we have a story to tell. Now is the time that we're going to push for clean air, clean water, and clean communities. Now is the time that we are going to push to put people in place in these electoral seats who will amplify and recognize us. Now is the time that we are going to put a call to action out there. You've heard it. We want people over profits. We want people-centered businesses. We want to serve notice on you today that if you come into our communities and think that you are going to get away with decimating, desecrating, and denigrating it, we want you to know that we are coming as a destructive force that will tear you down in any way necessary. We are believing it is by any means necessary. You've seen the pictures, people breaking out. You've seen the pictures, people breaking out and their feet are turning purple. You're seeing the pictures where Norfolk Southern is up there and they're thinking about strategies, but they're not thinking about the hearts of people. They're not thinking about the harms. We're talking about keeping the earth clean. We see this baby's face over here. This baby is our future, but yet and still they want to talk about the ways that they can emit from factories. We today want to serve notice on all of those actors there today that we are here to stay. We are here to fight. We are here to build. We are here to heal, and we are here to move in the way that will bring about the solutions that we need. So it's going to take not just some of us. We want them to get this picture right here. If you don't do anything else, put this picture here, because it's not just going to be some of us, it's going to be all of us and then some. So we serve notice on you today that you're ready to pick a fight. Guess what? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to fight? Are you ready to fight for your community? Are you ready to fight to breathe? Are you ready to fight for clean water? Are you ready to fight for pollution to be removed from your communities and your cities? Are you ready to fight for your healing? Are you ready to fight so that we no longer be poisoned? Are you ready to fight for your legacy? You've gotten served notice. We're ready.
All right. Thank you so much for the wisdom and the beautiful words, Bishop Marcia. Our next speaker, and I believe this, no? All right. That was our last speaker, y'all. And thank you so much. And a reminder to every MetCoke Summit attendee in there, Norfolk, USS, US Steel, or any of the polluting industries, we do serve you notice. Thank you, everybody, for coming out, especially for the press for being here and giving us your time today. Thank you.